is Laz.
Hi, Laz. This is Sandria within Chi City in Chicago.
Hey, what's going on?
Nothing much. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good, good. Well, first of all, thank you just for taking time to speak with me today. Really appreciate it.
Cool, thank you for having me.
Yes. So let's just jump right in. You have been a very busy man this year. You have 3 films coming up, right?
Yeah, I do. I'm really excited about that. It's a blessing, and I'm just happy more than anything to be able to say that, one of my movies is with Spike, because my whole life is somebody, he's somebody who I've wanted to work with, and even before I really even thought that acting was a real possibility in my life, Spike was always somebody that I looked up to and admired. So to have the opportunity to do a film with him, for me, is like, that in and of itself was the biggest blessing.
So what was it like working with Spike Lee?
Well, at times, you felt like you were working, you were, in a sports analogy, you felt like you were playing for like a championship coach, and he, what I'm saying, and he was very, very, very tough on his players. Like, he expects nothing but the best, and he expects, championship performance on his team, and at the same time, there were times when I just sat back and just looked at the fact that here I am working with Spike, somebody who I've always looked up to, and I just, would say a little silent prayer to myself, like, thank you for bringing me this far, and now don't mess up. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But it was great, though. It was good. Like, I feel like Spike really got the best performance out of me, and I feel like it's not an accident why his movies always, strike a chord in people, because he knows how to get the best out of his actors and how to really, find that special thing in every story to make people feel it.
Okay, now speaking of this story, the movie is Miracle at St. Anna. Tell us a little bit about the project and your particular character.
Well, the project, it's a story about World War II, and if you look at a lot of the other films that have been done in recent history about World War II, even in the past, black men and women and the sacrifices that they made for this country are sometimes, overlooked, or they're just not necessarily highlighted. So Spike, has always wanted to do a story that, talked about the sacrifices that black men and women made for the U.S. during World War II.
Okay.
And, we had the Buffalo Soldiers who, at the time, they weren't allowed to fight side by side, white soldiers, but they were still making some very important and strategic moves that helped defeat Hitler, and the threat at the time, and this story revolves around the Buffalo Soldiers that were sent to Italy to go liberate Italy out of the clutches of fascism and the Nazis.
Okay. Now, what character are you playing?
I play a character, Hector Negron.
Okay.
And my character is not only black, but he's a black Latino, which back in the day, it really didn't matter if you were not white and you were going with the Buffalo Soldiers.
Exactly.
So, so it just showed, the time period at the time, how nobody really had rights, and how you were fighting for a country that at the time, things back at home weren't so smooth. The story is about 4 Buffalo Soldiers that get separated from their unit, and they basically give up their lives not only to make it back, on the other side of enemy lines, but also, to defend the Italians that they end up, trapped with, on the side of hostility. So it's a real human story about, the miracles of love when all the stakes are high and on the table, when everything is on the line.
Okay. Now, when you were first approached about this film, what attracted you either to the film or to the character of Hector?
Well, when I found out about the story, Spike was keeping the script under wraps, and it was nobody had really read it. So he encouraged me to go read the book, and So I went and I picked up the book, and I absolutely fell in love with James McBride's writing, you know, and he also wrote the screenplay. He adapted his own screenplay from the book, you know, so the screenplay, who's going to do it better than the person that wrote the story in the first place?
Right.
You know, and I just really, really fell in love with a character that just really just cared, you know, so much about what was going on at the time. And you know, the importance of that time period in American history, you know, if you think about it, after that war, we had the Korean War, we had Vietnam War, and then we had Desert Storm and Iraq, where we're at now. But that was the last great war that the entire world united together, and we were right. You know, that was the last war where the whole world came together to fight something that was unequivocally wrong.
Right. Right.
You know, and it's important that children of all ages and colors realize, you know, what an important part black people played in that time in history.
That's true,
you know?
Especially right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, we were doing a lot more than just, you know, peeling potatoes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Which is some of the movies, that's all you see, you know, brothers doing during World War II, which they were doing that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But there were some very valiant brothers on the battlefield fighting. You know, so for me, that was an honor, you know, to be able to play that and to show the valor, you know, that we were doing way back in the day when we really didn't have any rights. We were just doing it anyway.
Right.
You know, unsung heroes.
Exactly, exactly. So now, like you mentioned, this movie is based on the book by James McBride, and I was snooping around your MySpace page, and I read that you might possibly be writing a book.
Yeah. Well, right now, I'm writing a script.
Okay.
And I've written a couple scripts, and you know, my main effort is to write as much as possible and to either make these films or sell them. But I am trying to write a self-help book.
Okay. Yeah, you're a very philosophical book dude. I was gonna say, if you aren't writing a book, you should be writing a book.
Well, you know what? You know, I feel like everybody has like a role in their life that they play for the people around them. Mm-hmm. You know, and my role usually tends to be the motivator.
Okay.
You know, I'm kind of like the Dr. Phil of my group.
Okay.
You know, and so I just want to somehow be able to share that knowledge with as many people as possible and motivate people that, you know, they can achieve anything they want as long as they put their all behind it, you know, and no doesn't just mean no, it just means, you know, not now, mm-hmm. You know, so I want to somehow be able to communicate that and use myself and my life as an example. Okay.
Any word when that might come to fruition, when that book might drop?
Well, you know, it wouldn't be anywhere in the near future, you know, because I still feel like I have a lot to learn, you know, and a lot of credentials to acquire, mm-hmm. You know, but it's definitely something that I want to chronicle my growth and my success, you know, and the growth of the people around me that I've seen make it, you know, and some of the qualities that you need to do so and qualities that you see in people. You know, I mean, I remember back in the day I was at Jamie Foxx's house around the time when he and I did Jarhead, mm-hmm. and this little dude with some beats, you know, and he really wasn't that popular at the time, but his name was Kanye West.
I knew you were going to say it. Right.
Yeah, and I didn't know who the heck he was. I didn't know all the stuff that he had done for Jay-Z, because at the time he was just a producer. He wasn't rapping, and he didn't have an album. He was telling us about his album, you know, but, you know, you meet so many of these people here in L.A., but there was like this fire that I saw in him, and he just had this quality that it stuck out in my head. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And I remembered him. And later on, you know, when he and Jamie dropped Gold Digger, and, you know, his song, you know, When Jesus Walks, it happened to be the main songs for Jarhead, you know, the theme song for Jarhead and for all our trailers and everything. It was no surprise to me, you know, but I saw very similar qualities that I've seen in so many other successful people. I saw it in him just chilling with him for a night. You know, and talking to him and you know, just vibing. We were all just vibing. And it's funny because at the time also, Jamie had a poster up in his, actually, you know what? This was way before Jarhead. I take that back. This was like maybe 2 years before Jarhead.
Okay.
This was like 2003. You know, 2002, 2003. I remember Jamie had a poster of Ray in his studio. And all he could talk about was how much he wanted to do this film. And how he was so passionate about doing the Ray movie. You know, and you could just tell he was going to do it.
Right.
You know? Because there was no if I do it. It was a when I do it.